you hit the mid game,
I hate this part. Okay.
The exact same way.
Nah. As a lover of this game, I do not like the snow section. I don't like snow in real life either. So like, it's actually very in character. I don't like snow in any shape, way, or form. In games, in real life, in movies, in fucking anything. I don't like snow. I have to deal with it. Fuck snow, man, and ice and all of that. That's why I chose fire. I burn it and melt it. Get rid of it. It just goes so slow and it's infuriating. Sorry. I got mad. I just remember the trauma of walking through that route and it taking like 10 fucking minutes or more to get through that route. Even if you dodge the trainers, and it's annoying. Hello guys, I am Shinki Pyre. The name rhymes with fire, and welcome back to another Shinki Reacts, or whatever you want to call it, right? We're back here with Is Pokemon Worse Than You Remember? Yeah, baby. Pokemon Platinum. Pokemon Platinum, not Pokemon as general, it's Pokemon Platinum. So if you do enjoy the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We're on that grind to 100 followers. And also go watch the original video if you don't want to hear me yap, because there's going to be yapping. I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum because this video is a whopping hour and 5 minutes-ish. So yeah, we're gonna try not to keep this too long, but guaranteed an hour and 5 minutes is going to be longer than that. So let's get to it. Is Pokemon Platinum worse than you remember?
Pokemon Platinum is regarded by fans as one of the best games in the series. And today I'm going to be analyzing and judging the game to see if that's actually true.
So what are you doing?
I have a really embarrassing fact to share with you first. Up until a month ago, I never played Pokemon Platinum.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Mans is Smith Plays Pokemon, and he hasn't played one of the best Pokemon games, if not the best Pokemon game of all time. Yes, I said it. I'm a big Pokemon Platinum stan, and that's why I'm here, to see him shit on my game, potentially. Yeah.
Now, we're going to break this up into 9 parts, one for each gym leg, plus the Elite Four. And within each section of the game, I'll be sharing my thoughts on available Pokemon, gym leaders, Team Galactic, Rival, and anything else that stands out in that section. After all this, we're then going to put the whole analysis together.
Also, I just realized something.
And we'll look at why. Despite Platinum having quite a few issues, there is one thing that completely saves the game and makes it truly incredible. Badge 1. Setting the stage.
I love it. Okay,
so
I love what he's doing. Okay, before we get into it, the meat and potatoes, I love how this video is presented. He's going badge by badge. That's kind of cool. Like I'm appreciating the video quality here as someone who's doing slop content.
As a Gens 1 to 3 fanboy is a very surreal experience. At the time, I imagine new fans just looked at this with simple appreciation, but I'm just shocked to see what is the amalgamation of 3 generations over 9 years and 8 iterations of Pokemon games.
Yeah.
Things feel familiar, but so much more refined. You're introduced to the Pokemon professor, you name your rival, you head out of your small town and are blocked by a random NPC, talk to someone to then be allowed to leave, and swiftly pick your starter. But the first thing that stands out to me are how extremely...
The thing was muted, but I did not know that it was muted. So but all I said was that I miss this format. I mean, it's still kind of there, but it just feels more bloated in common games. I gotta be honest, it does feel a lot more bloated and just puffed up, and I'm gonna stop pausing every fucking minute.
The graphics feel. They're reminiscent of Gen 3, but the art has been improved on enough that it's found its own identity. Also, the music is an absolute vibe from the start. And while I love Gen 3, I welcome the end of the Horn era as we enter the age of immaculate vibes, fat basslines, and Euro bangers.
Yeah, the casino! Or game place. I forget what it's actually called. Okay, the casino.
Oh yeah. Also, if you want to watch my full playthrough, just started a new channel, Smith Plays Plus. Has that
Everyone,
full
let's put in
video,
plus at the
link in
name. I might do that too.
After this one, anyway, it's probably the
Shinki
biggest
plus.
talking point of the journey of your first badge is, as always, this starter selection.
You got Raid
While I
Away
have
plus.
never
I got
played the
Smith
Gen
Plays
4 City
plus.
games, I certainly have the
Yo.
knowledge to see that
Yo.
Chimchar is the strongest starter. And
Chimchar,
despite
my
that,
fucking
I'm
boy.
So impressed of what a good job Gen 4 does of
Timothy
making the starter
Timothy
selection a
Char.
difficult choice. Sure, it is the second firefighting type in a row, and that's why I'm not
And the
gonna
better
use
one.
it, but it's still
And the better, I gotta be honest, the monkey is supreme.
awesome. Overall, grass type has been a pretty big underperformer outside of Venusaur, but I know that with Earthquake, the Turtwig line also goes insanely hard. Unfortunately though, I already had plans to scoop up another ground type, so that left me with Piplup. Empoleon is both the only steel starter along with the only water steel type in all of Pokemon. So I was just really curious to see how this Pokemon actually played.
Empoleon's alright.
And while I love the
Empoleon's
line
alright.
from a design standpoint, you're probably going to come to find me not loving it maybe as much as you hoped, but we'll get back to that.
I'm gonna be
with
mad.
a female Piplup,
Okay,
we
you're
named
just telling me I'm
Victoria.
gonna get
We
angry.
take the expected first rival fights, and it goes very slowly.
So is this like
but
a
we eventually get the dub.
review
And after this,
or
it's just
a
sort of
pre-
time for your standard
like a
early
Nuzlocke
stuff. Head to
video?
First town, head back home,
Guys.
pick up a package, deliver it to Barry, catching tutorial.
I mean, it's
and
kinda
boom,
both, I
look
guess.
at that. It's a new city. Time
Kind of
to be
nice.
free of tutorials. Just kidding. Gotta be honest. Not really a fan of Jubilife. This is the first time the game forces you to do Pokemon school stuff, which makes me realize this is sort of the dawn of the Pokemon community's hatred of, I guess honestly the word I gotta use is hand-holding, as much as that's an overused term in Pokemon. It's just like, as a seasoned player, being forced to answer questions of like, do Pokemon
wanna
moves
fucking
have
fight, bro.
types, or do Pokemon gain experience? Is not very fun. Also, you can catch Pokemon before the catching tutorial, and even if you have a second Pokemon in your party, you're forced to do it. And so I ended up leaving Jubilife with just the impression that this is the tutorial city. And honestly, that opinion never changed over the course of my playthrough. Now, the first Pokemon that I caught was
I don't like
Bidoof,
Jubilife.
because, let's be honest, everybody knows that Gen 4 HMs are a problem.
Besides the theme.
And
Theme's
even my
great.
dad knows that Bidoof is the best unpaid HM intern in Sinnoh. Now, as we make our way towards the first gym town,
Bidoof is only for HMs. Mans is the eternal box sitter. Like once you got your team, like at the Elite Four, bro, man's getting benched so quick. Or at each gym, man's getting benched. Like it's legit. Man's knows he's second fiddle. He's a bench warmer, man. He knows it, and he's okay with it. I like to think so anyway. I think he's okay with it. I'm hoping if he's not okay with it, well, it doesn't matter. He's an HM slave.
Which felt very reminiscent
in the box,
of the
bro.
1B rival fight in Kanto. This one was also very slow. From here, though, I was actually really impressed with the fights up until the gym leader. So usually, early
Gym leader's pretty
fights
easy.
are really boring with like
Especially if you choose
2 to 3
Piplup.
supremely underleveled Pokemon. But I think for the first time ever, Platinum at least makes the decision to give trainers one single fairly good leveled Pokemon, and that makes swap grinding all your brand new Pokemon just so much easier, which was seriously helpful for the first
I never noticed
member
that.
of my team. Sorry, but I caught a Starly. Look, I know it's basic,
forgot he's
but to
Canadian.
me, Starly was like the new cool drug
I heard the soul
registry
read.
that
I'm like, oh,
everyone was
wait.
doing, and my curiosity got the best of me. I thought, sure, I'll give it a try, see what the Starly hype is all about, and then I'll drop it. Easy as that. Fortunately, I would go on to become another victim of Staraptor hype. This thing is just like, it doesn't
What do you
give
mean?
an
What do you? Sorry for the pause on you. Well, your name is Pat, right? I don't. Yeah, but I was gonna say I can't stop looking at his face. But I was gonna say Staraptor is worth the hype. He comes in handy a lot, especially in the Elite Four when the first guy is a bug trainer, and even against Flint with his own Infernape, like legit, it's a good choice to have. And you got a fighting type gym leader. It's good. I mean, it's part normal, but it's really fast, so I think it works out.
opportunity for you to let it go. Because anytime you're like, yeah, I'm gonna drop this, like 5 levels before that, it just gets a new awesome thing that you're like, why would I ever drop this Pokemon? The first instance of that
is it too good?
Level 9 wing attack. Like, I'm sorry, what?
Fucking
this is such a crazy power spike, but it's
Brixton
also
Braxton
so well
the fifth, bro.
because once you get it, all the following Pokemon are like rock type, so it's not even overpowered, but it just forces you to like keep the Pokemon. Now, the last notable part of the early game is, of course, Gym
Rourke.
1.
My man.
I gotta say, what? Oh my god, this fight is so hard. I saw the lead Geodude, and I was going into this fight thinking, okay, this is
why is it hard?
2.0, but Cranidos
it's easy.
is gonna pack a little
You
more
have
punch
the
than
advantage.
Wrong. Sure, Geodude is a free one tap, but
and you're level 14.
Onyx didn't go down to a
you are.
bubble.
I'm blocking
this
it.
Thing knows stealth rocks, but the fact that his
just
ace
don't switch.
Has headbutt. And
just don't switch.
pursuit,
Legit.
You can't
switching was your bad move by my
really
man.
Fight this thing, which
this is your job. You're a Poketuber. Just don't legit. You can win with just stop switching. Like legit. You have Piplup. You got Bubble. You Bubble in a dream, bro. That's it. If you want to switch grind, do it on the trainers. For gym leaders, you're strictly on business. Fucking get it done, okay?
The hard way, getting my first loss at the very first gym. Quick Claw Torrents?
Although I guess you are slower.
Dude, what the hell? That is a rock gym. To start out, that is not a pushover. Wow. Now, I absolutely love the power of this
your
Pokemon,
switching, though, was kind of
a
throw.
For 1 second. Bear with me. I think having a weak but really high power Pokemon as the first gym makes a ton of sense. But when
I don't know why I'm
Pokemon's
mad all the time right now.
move also has a 30% chance to flinch, it
get lucky, bro.
turns the fight into an RNG fest. Second fight I won because I just dodged 2 flinches in a row. But had that not happened, I would have lost again and had to restart and just get lucky off of no flinches. I just don't think the game gives you a lot to play around flinch, and because of that, it's a little bit too much for the first gym. Despite my grievances though, I absolutely take this over a super boring gym 1, and Rourke is by far the most interesting gym 1 leader
Stronger's better.
at this point in the series. So
right?
All things considered, I was feeling very optimistic. Badge 2. The real story begins. Now, before leaving Orkstown, I also caught a Ponyta because I was curious to try it out for the upcoming grass gym. You also get access to explore the north part of the cave you pass through to get to Orbor.
You can like kind of explore it.
Total dud. Like, I think this was done pretty awkwardly. They teased this new area that is like only passable by Rock Smash, and then you get to that new area and it's like, haha, psych, all the good stuff is actually locked behind Surf. But after returning to Jubilife, the first real beat of Badge 2
good shot, you're not gonna remember to come back there.
The game's evil group.
Good shot.
Galactic. This is a double battle with Dawn that feels like another guardrail fight, but it's a good introduction. From here, we pass through Floroma and then get our first real encounter with Galactic. And
now, here's where the game actually gets
you
tough.
do some more walking around and get your typical grunt fights in, and it sets the team vibe
Mars,
up like
whole memories, bro.
You know, any other Pokemon game. You're fighting Zubats, Glameows, just
like Mars is who you fight before you get to Cynthia. Like, you get your first taste of terror at Mars.
Classic feeling evil team Pokemon. It's also around this time where the game starts placing like an absurdly high amount of pressure to use the honey system. It's like they introduced a new feature.
Yeah,
and
okay. Honey system is bogus.
Town to getting you to use that feature. But then chat was very quick to tell me like the feature sucks. There's a 1% chance for a Munchlax and everything else is awful. Takes, like,
Munchlax is the only thing.
Encounter. This is stupid.
And Apom. I like Apom though.
And so that is exactly what.
Because the anime.
Instead, I went to go get my head kicked in by a really chunky cat. The climax of the Valley Wind
Pierogi is a cat.
Commander Mars. And wow, this is perhaps the first time in the series that a team executive can actually fancy unevolved Houndour guy as the final fight in the game, or any of Team Aqua or Magma's executives. This is crazy.
This one's absolutely insane.
So much stronger than anything you have access to here, and it forces you to use your whole team in a very interesting way. And for the early game, this is a huge win for Team Plasma because it sets them up to be a real threat and raises your expectations of what's to come. Now, it was also at this point where my Starly evolves and digs its talons further into my soul. Turns out, not just Staraptor, but also Staravia learns intimidate. From the perspective of an early gen fan that has just been conditioned over time to expect the worst and never thinking your Pokemon is gonna actually get what it needs, I feel like I've been living my whole life as a peasant and just randomly married into some royal family.
As a peasant?
The game just spoils you. Primplup gets Metal Claw on evolution.
Okay.
Ponyta.
You're saying spoiling, but in the same fucking breath, right? You say Ponyta, because if you're not choosing Infernape, well, here's the one gripe I can agree with Sinnoh haters. You're gonna have to choose Ponyta, or I think Magmar too, but you're not gonna get Magmortar unless you have friends, which I didn't, so I couldn't get him, so I chose the monkey, obviously, because the monkey's best. If you're gonna play Sinnoh, get Jimjar or Totera. Piplup fans, I am not one of you. Penguins are cool, but when I can have a mountain man or a monkey, I'm not going to choose the penguin.
Who is a physical attacker, gets the physical attacking move Flame Wheel at 15. We were even playing the section on Friday, so we were able to pick up the Drifloon that I would go on to never use, but it's still very cool. Now, the next event from here is the Eterna Forest walkthrough, where you play double battle.
Drifloon is actually kind of good, though.
Only has a chancey. Gonna be honest, this was not very fun. I like that she heals.
Nobody likes the Eterna Forest arc.
And boring. We then make it to Eterna City and finally meet Cynthia. What did I do to deserve
Cynthia!
this cool thing? I was memeing super hard on stream, so I don't actually know what she said, but it's nice to see the champion showing their face early. Even if you've never fought her, Cynthia has such a reputation, and something about seeing her this early just instantly instills a sense of fear. Because
Cynthia is, oh my god, bro.
Away she might be in the game. From the moment I meet her, we're now in the big boy leagues. And no matter what you do through this playthrough, you are eventually going to be staring her face to face in the champions room. And from here, this takes us to the second gym leader, Gardenia.
It'll be your turn.
First thing I want to note is, like, wow, what a step up in gym design. That is a beautiful looking gym.
Now
for a great looking puzzle. Gen 3 to Gen 4 is just a wide open chasm in terms of quality. Now, as for the fight itself, I found it pretty easy, but the difficulty came down to having both a fire and flying Pokemon. But from a more objective standpoint, Gardenia has a really well thought out design.
A Turtwig.
Like, second gym, she's got a Turtwig lead running Reflect and Sunny Day. This then flows into Cherrim, which has the signature ability Flower Gift that increases its attack and special defense and Sun.
I never knew that.
Damn, Bugsy, Misty, and Brawly
because I killed it.
Never. And then she's got her ace Roserade, which just has really good stats by the
Roserade was an issue back in the day,
though. As this run is going on, I'm just becoming more and more impressed with Platinum's
You're going to hear a pop opening
cool
sound.
Experiences. And overall, I thought this section of the game was very strong.
Yes.
It starts and ends with two really challenging fights, and even the route to Eterna Forest is pretty solid. Sure, Eterna Forest is a miss, but at least it's a miss in a risk. So overall, I think the Bath to Badge 2 is really solid. Badge,
it's aight.
The early game crescendo. After the second badge, we're faced with another run-in with Team
Hope.
Galactic.
Hold on. What do you mean by crescendo? The game only gets better from here. Like, once you get past Eterna Forest, I think the game is really fun. Like, I think the beginning is great. I like the beginning of the game. It's really fun. And then you get to, like, the Eterna Forest part. Then it kind of slows down for a bit. And then after that, the game, it just goes up and up until the champion. I gotta be honest, but that's my opinion. Let's see his.
There's a lot of optional fights
and again,
here,
I told y'all if you want to see the full video of me talking, you can watch that down there. But watch me.
This commander has the dark poison type Skuntank, which is just like a crazy typing.
Actually though, I know I was gonna stop yapping, but I have to talk about this fucking bitch, okay? Yo, Skuntank is absolutely, I gotta admit, I've lost a couple times. Even though it's part dark and I had him on Inferno, for some reason, it just kicked my ass. I don't know why it kicked my ass, but it did. And I don't like you, Skuntank. You're too good sometimes.
Like, who has ground types at this point of the game? I'll tell you, not me. It was also running Night Slash, so I was just completely terrified as I was using Growl strats to lower its attack. It was just a really fun fight and just kind of further cemented the fact, like, you gotta take Team Flare very seriously. Also after this, we gained access to the Grand Underground, which was also a thing in BDSP, and this is kind of like a toned back version where you can't catch Pokemon, but you can get really cool items. I like it as like a fun little side hobby thing, but the fact that like some items are kind of locked behind this that like prevent access to certain evolutions before the post game, thought that was kind of lame. Still though, like this is just a feature that is so beyond anything Gen 3 even had. So overall,
yeah, I will admit,
now as far as team
good shit with
goes
the
at this
underground.
point, I'm feeling very
Not
happy
that I
with
used it that
Prinplup
much.
and Staravia. At the start of the game, the professor gave me Return, which I taught to Staravia, and that's up to like 60 base power now. So not only do I have wing attack,
See, Return, either you keep it for the entire game, or it's the first move you get rid of. And for me, I just don't use it. I think I might have sold it. I think in that game you can sell things, and I think I might have sold it for money so I can buy more Pokeballs to catch things. Because Return has never been a move I actually wanted to use. And if I wanted a good normal move, you know what? I would teach my man Strength when I get it. You know, Strength is just one of the best normal moves I think you can get. I guess it's the perfect middle ground move, and you like middle ground moves because middle ground moves usually don't come with any drawbacks, and Strength was one of those moves. Besides, you know, not being able to delete it, I guess that has a drawback in and of itself, but it's a good move. And Return gets returned to the store because I don't want it.
but another just solid neutral damage stab move. As for Ponyta, it was really useful in the first fight, but its light evolution and sort of unimpressive moveset after this had me end up dropping it.
See, you always drop Ponyta.
Road and the following stretch of roads to the next city. There's not much new here in the way of experimental features, but I think its biggest source of identity comes from Wayward Cave's hidden entrance, home to the pseudo-legendary Gible. Okay, guys,
I wish I knew this as a kid.
I know what you're thinking.
I wish I did.
Staraptor and Garchomp. Really, Pat? I already passed on Infernape, Roserade, Luxray. I gotta get a little basic for my first platinum run. Gible is also an important Pokemon to me because like a year ago, I made a video talking about why pseudo-legendaries are really poorly designed. And in that video, I say
I gotta watch that. I gotta make a video on that.
Perfect. You're also probably wondering, how have you made these every game videos if you've never played Gen 4 Sinnoh? And that's where a lovely team comes in. Craig is sort of the production end of it, and he
has a whole fucking team?
Whenever we're talking about
I mean, he has 200,000 subscribers, so it makes sense, I guess.
We kind of formulated this idea together, like even not having played it, I just saw what Gible is. I saw what the line is and was like,
so far, we're just recapping his journey.
Craig obviously like approved that idea and agreed with it, but I just felt the need
I'm here
to,
for
like,
your opinions,
put those
boy.
ideas to the test. Something I didn't really account
you're
for
older than me,
personally,
sir.
though, is the fact that Platinum also gives you access to...
See, I also wish I knew about this as a kid. That would have been really helpful. Earthquake, exploring, I didn't do that. I was like, we got badges to collect. I don't got time to look around. I got a job to do. I got a job to complete. I got badges to beat. I got a champion to become. Something like that, and I was going there. Fuck looking around, and I missed out on Earthquake as a result. So who won? Me. At what cost? Earthquake, and potentially other good stuff in the game that I write probably under my nose.
Earthquake in this cave. Like, this is just so far beyond what the other games gave you. So, yeah, I'm going to pick up an early pseudo. Yeah, I'm going to strap it with Earthquake. And guess what? It wasn't even that overpowered. Now, as we arrive in Hearthome, I also pick up the gift
Eevee,
Earthquake, and this gives us access to every evolution except for Glaceon, which is kind of weird considering that's one of the only two new
I'm pretty sure you can get Glaceon. No, you got to be by a rock.
Like after the 6th gym. So, the only new option for me of evolution was Leafeon, which is a Pokemon I've never used.
Who wants Leafeon? Let's be honest.
That
Let's be honest here, folks. Leafeon's kind of mid.
I'm a little skeptical. That was until I looked at Leafeon's stats, because as it turns out, arguably one of the best distributed stats for an evolution. Leafeon has its 130 stat in defense, while its attack is 110. The big thing though is it has a 95 stat in speed, so it can outspeed pretty much everything you need it to. Combining this with the fact that its impish nature further raised its defense and lowered its special attack, which is the one stat you're
this is new. You want to try it? Want to try it? Sure.
I was ready to board the Leafeon hype train. Straight into Fantina where my first fight was an absolute
I thought you
wash.
dumped
I went in
Ponyta.
blind, and her Miss Magius straight up murdered me. For
And
my
also,
second
yeah, Miss
attempt,
Magius,
I
wait,
caught
yeah,
up.
hold on a second. Yeah, wait, yeah. But this gym is another point in time where I lose.
Yes, and then Leafeon was able to just swoop in and completely wall out her physically attacking Haunter until I got the win. So yeah, we got the win, but like, what? People talk about Whitney being
Like,
the
what?
hardest gym leader of all time, but I genuinely think that that title might go to Platinum Fantina. Like,
Actually,
compared
though.
to Whitney's Miltank, it just feels like Miss Magius has no counter.
Yeah, Miss
And that
Magius
might
is
be
a
because it was
beast.
my first playthrough, but I'm shocked. It has grass coverage for water, rock, and ground types, psychic coverage
It's
for
just
poison
too
and fighting
fucking
types,
good,
and
bro.
then Ghost just gives her neutral damage to everything else on like a 105 special attack when you're running a bunch of first stagers. And honestly,
I mean, well, yeah.
I love it. Anytime that I have the
It's
opportunity
difficult.
to
I had
get
to try
my ass
3
handed to me
times.
in a vanilla Pokemon game is like an absolute win of a day for me. And I genuinely think that this was the moment I fell in love with Sinnoh. Sure, it's my first playthrough. It might be my honeymoon phase, but it's just been so good so far.
Stay.
The first 3 badges
Stay.
of Sinnoh are probably
Be
the
one of
best
us.
Pokemon
One of us.
experience I've ever had in the franchise. And by the 3rd gym, my hope of Platinum being the great game people said it is growing. Maybe, just maybe, the game isn't hyped around nostalgia. Badge 4, the world opens up. Now, just like most Pokemon games, it's around the 4th gym when you reach the big city and the world
opens up, but I still follow the order because I'm a sheep.
With access to the department store selling the Blizzard class of TM.
If badge is 4th badge, I get it, 4th badge.
This is crazy, but after a bit of time running Blizzard on my Prinplup, it really wasn't that OP. It was nice having early Blizzard, but you quickly realize that Game Freak's earlier ways of reserving these moves for the end of the game was way too conservative. Outside of Fire Blast, these moves are just way too inconsistent to be overpowered, so I think it was a nice change of pace. You've also got a bunch of routes that open up, giving
you learn to value accuracy as you mature in Pokemon. Big power moves with low accuracy are often not worth it. At all, actually. I mean, they can come in handy for big blasts, but that's if they hit. And if it's not 100% accuracy, it might as well be 50 in Pokemon. So, just choose 100% accuracy moves. You get a little bit of a power reduction, but you know what? At least you're gonna hit your opponent, right?
giving you access to new TMs like Aerial Ace along with the Heart Scale for the Move Tutor. I ended up using both of these on Leafeon to give it some really high damage flying coverage along with relearning Razor Leaf. I think the big turnoff of Leafeon is that it doesn't get its big Leaf Blade until like level 70 when you probably already beat the game. And a lot of people were telling me not to use it for that reason, but 100 attack on Stab Razor Leaf ended up actually being more than enough for almost every situation. And so after this team building session, we reached Maylene, the 4th gym leader. First of all, while annoying, the gym puzzle is very cool. Maylene leads with a not
memorized it
moves
completely.
that uses Rock Tomb to cover its flying weaknesses. But even considering the damage it did to my Staravia was after and Intimidate, I think it felt a little bit weak. Like, Meditite does have great attack, but by the 4th gym, I was just feeling like we probably should be moving on to fully evolved Pokemon. Machoke was also set up to be as good as it possibly could be, and it still left me a little bit disappointed. In contrast, Gardenia has a first, middle stage, and final stager.
I never noticed that.
The 4th gym should probably be picking up a little bit more than this. The only challenging aspect of her fight is Lucario.
Yeah, it's pretty easy though. I keep saying what I said earlier, it was one of the easiest fights.
Pretty tough to
I got nothing to say here.
Unfortunately, like, even this is a step down from Fantina's Ace. So I don't think that Maylene is bad, but her fight definitely felt like
it's just easy. If you have the right mons, it's easy.
Now, looking through the Sinnoh decks, I will acknowledge that for the 4th badge, Fighting type is kind of in an awkward spot with what you could add to her team. Like, you can't really give her a Machamp or Medicham because that's just gonna rival Lucario. But it feels like a bit of an oversight where
I think you give them both. I just rocked the team, bro.
Levels, or just add in a 4th Pokemon like Krogunk or maybe, I don't know, Heracross. The first 3 gyms have 3
Actually,
Pokemon,
Heracross would
and
be great.
The 2nd and 3rd has a first, middle, and final stage evolution.
I never noticed that.
Misstep to just repeat this a 3rd time. So I finished the journey.
That's something I never noticed in Pokemon Platinum.
Towards the upcoming difficulty curve, but overall still optimal.
And I played like a billion fucking times.
Losing focus. After the Maylene fight, I picked up a Porygon, and since I already had the upgrade, I traded it to
I always
evolve it into
picked
a Porygon 2. Wink. Now, I didn't have plans to invest in it or anything. But it's really nice to just
I understand your plays, man.
level as yours already to just throw in for some additional support at no cost. At this point, we also get Fly on Staravia, which I forgot is 90 power in Gen 4. So this thing is just doing amazing damage. Leafeon continues to surprise me as a rare physical wall that can also output massive damage and outspeed nearly everything. Like, seriously, I don't know if it's just me, but is Leafeon perhaps the most underrated evolution? Probably.
Low-key, it probably is, and I'm still gonna hate it.
I'm very happy to see Gabite
because fire burns grass.
As I expected. Its attack and speed allow it to stay competitive, while its ground pairing stops Dragon from being
I gotta be honest.
OP.
I'm gonna say it right here. I do not like Gabite. I gotta be so for real. I like Gibble. Gibble's great. Fucking amazing little guy. And Garchomp is Garchomp, you know. That's why we get the Gibble and deal with a Gabite, you know. But I don't know. For some reason, Gabite never does his fucking job. He dies pretty much immediately to most things. Until it gets to a Garchomp, he feels like he's kind of worse than Gibble in a way, which is not true, like, factually. But I don't. It's just my experience with the Gabite. I've had better times with a Gibble than a Gabite. I don't know what it is. I just wanted to say that this guy here has failed me more times than I can count.
And because I had already explored all the areas around his gym, I move on to challenge Crasher.
He's kind of hard though.
Well, actually, first I evolved my Staravia into Staraptor. But
he's kind of hard.
We go on to fight him. Now, in reference to what I said about Mylene,
he wakes me the fuck up because I have to snap in.
The difficulty by
lock the fuck in.
Making his team fully evolved. He's running Quagsire, Gyarados, and a Floatzel Ace. Now, I didn't have an electric move because I was hoarding Shockwave like a weirdo, and that made the fight pretty hard, but I don't think this is indicative of most people's experience. You're always going to get Shockwave before this fight, which makes Gyarados just entirely free. Gardenia also gives you Grass Knot, which makes Quagsire a one-shot kill, and this paired with a Floatzel Ace,
I mean, when you put it that way, when you look around,
designed to be a cleanup crew ace. The classic example of a cleanup crew ace is Manectric on Emerald Watson. It's not outright the strongest Pokemon that's gonna live forever, but because it has great speed and coverage, it's really good at carving into and finishing off an already weakened team. The issue with this fight though is that because his first two Pokemon can go down in one shot, Floatzel doesn't have the staying power to sweep a full team. And so Floatzel can't be a Goatzel. Yep, this is my job. Listen, I'm just gonna say the big issue is the G-Man. Gyarados is a really difficult Pokemon to balance. If you don't have an electric move, Gyarados is really strong. But if you do, it is just a complete non-entity in a fight. So which way do you balance the gym for? Exactly, that's the point. You can't know. And so Gyarados doesn't really work good on a team unless there's like 5+ Pokemon. I think this fight would be a lot better leading Golduck or a huge power Azumarill to showcase the physical split. Quagsire makes perfect sense because grass is just less common than electric. Floatzel can also cover grass Pokemon, so Quagsire could stay on to neutralize electric types, and then Tentacruel, another Gen 1 Pokemon,
Tentacruel would have been good
with the grass types that killed Quagsire. This level of support would allow Floatzel's coverage priority build.
But then again, this is actually just the fifth. Honestly, I can.
Overall, this gym is just a little bit weird, and it's my assumption that Diamond and Pearl probably do it better. It's my understanding that Fantina's Gym 5 fight in Diamond and Pearl is harder than Wake's 5 in Platinum, and so I'm assuming that Diamond and Pearl gives you a more linear difficulty curve. That's unfortunately just an issue with map design, and so I see why they were trying to remediate the awkward way you moved around the Sinnoh in Diamond and Pearl, but then you kind of run into this issue where Fantina's with the Miss Magius is just really good, and she kind of outshines the next two gym leaders. Not an expert on these games.
I remember playing Brilliant Diamond, and I forgot, right? I forgot that you have to ignore the Fantina gym. So I tried to go in and I was like, what the fuck? Where's Fantina at? And then I remembered, I was like, oh shit, nostalgia blast. We don't fight her till later. Oh my god, what? So now I have to come all the way the fuck back here? Oh man.
Pokemon designer, but from someone who knows a little bit about this, that's my take on why things are a little awkward between badge 3 and 5. And so after this, I was left with a sense of growing anxiety that maybe I had set my expectations on this game a little bit too high. Badge 6.
No,
Broken
no,
Promises. After
no!
this badge, you have a brief Team Plasma event.
I
where
got a
you
feeling
follow
this is
dude
where it's
around,
gonna go
and
downhill,
Cynthia hooks you up with
folks.
ibuprofen to get the Psyducks to move. I get it, Psyduck. I feel the same way sometimes. Unfortunately, the mental fog only grows worse as we step onto the next
fog
route. I don't have the
route.
number, but
Bum,
it's the
bum,
default
bum.
route. And this is an interesting place to step into because I just know it as like the most contentious Sinnoh area amongst
fucking hate the
fans.
fog route.
Here, the fog lowers the accuracy of all moves unless you use the HMD fog, and the community does not have a lot of love for this.
No one's gonna use fucking
section.
defog.
It's actually probably the pinnacle of Gen 4 HM annoyance.
You just fucking run it, boys.
Reject HMs
Run the
to
gauntlet.
honor my 8-year-old cultural traditions, and honestly, I didn't find it all that bad. Because I had Leafeon with Aerial Ace, which doesn't have an accuracy loss, I was just kind of at an advantage throughout the entire route, and it really didn't go that bad for me. I could see that it would get annoying on subsequent playthroughs, but for me, I actually thought this was a much better experimental feature than the Eterna Forest fights. Then as you make it through here and reach Celestic Town, you get your first Cyrus fight, and it was honestly super disappointing. The commanders are built up in a way that gets you super wary of Cyrus, but this fight completely fell short of my expectations.
No way! Okay, well actually, maybe not.
3, but to not even evolve his Murkrow or Sneasel.
I remember this Cyrus fight being a lot harder than it looks on paper. I don't know why, and I had an Infernape at this point. I don't know. I think I was a dumb kid, but like I feel like this fight was a lot harder. Is this just me? But like when I was a kid, I struggled against this fight a little bit. Like I think I had to retry like once, but like I still lost, right? Huh.
Sneasel is wild. Like, even if he had a Golbat, Honchkrow, and Weavile, this would have been easier than the first 2 commander fights, but at the very least, it would probably be in line with an upward trending difficulty curve. But the way this fight is presented just leaves you with a complete and utter lack of respect for who is meant to be the big bad of this game. It was also after the 5th badge that the game opens up to a bunch of side quests. I ended up making my way back to Valley
Man's actually doing the side quests. Insane.
To finally quell my curiosity and figure out what a Fuego Ironwork actually is. Ironwork? Yeah. I sure hope it does. Now, I actually ran into a Magnemite outside of this place.
Okay, pal.
It was a coincidence and not a direct result.
Kind of funny.
I
did laugh.
My chat to find me another good team option. Magneton itself is really good, and I've never actually used Magnezone. So when I found out that I can get one and not have to wait until the 17th badge and evolve it with my DS held upside down at 4 a.m., well, I was pretty excited. The excitement was yet again another case of being so conditioned by the early Pokemon games to expect disappointment. Next, we make our way to Canalave City, and we get our first fight where I would consider Barry to be actually somewhat decent. There's also the optional quest with Riley. I
don't like this part, but I like the reward.
Islands. This was a much better double battle experience than Eterna Forest. I also like that this area had a bunch of Pokemon that are in that like high level, easy to kill.
Steelix, you got Graveler, you got whatever the rest of them are.
Around the 6th gym is probably when you're gonna be like, I'm getting a little under leveled. I need some just like quick grinding, and this place offers you that perfectly. So with that, we end up getting Prinplup.
I feel like I've always just used the starter guy, and I swore. If you haven't burned it, you kind of win.
Father of Rourke. Byron leads with a non-fully evolved Steel Electric type Magneton. This thing has some pretty good moves, and it's well leveled, but with a 4x weakness to ground, Byron's lead sees the exact same issue as Crasher Wake. His second Pokemon is Steelix, which doesn't have the 2x weakness and has some really good stab moves, with even Ice Fang to cover ground types. Steelix is unfortunately quite tragically vulnerable to water type attacks though, and it doesn't have much staying power either. And as for Bastiodon, I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter.
This guy is just bad. He's buns, bro.
You have a 4x weakness to ground. For that matter, I didn't even need
just
to
fucking buns.
Water was more than enough to take it out.
I don't know why he was a lead.
I was just left with such a feeling of disappointment.
Yeah.
Now, to be charitable, I'll at first say that at the very least, He has 3 Pokemon that have all
Steelix should have been the lead.
evolved stages at one point, but like still, why doesn't he have a Magnezone? If you go ahead with the major fights, there's no trainer that has a Magnezone on their team, so I don't know.
Because I got no friends.
Like, is Magnezone really so hard that I'm expected to not be able to deal with it? You had no problem beating my ass into the dirt at the start of the game, but now you're choosing to lay off the gas? Why does he only have 3 Pokemon? Did you forget
That's a
about
common Pokemon
Bronzong, Lucario, Probopass? This was your second opportunity to give the Steel Gym Leader a Scizor, and you flopped it again.
Oh,
and I'm sorry, but hello, what about Empoleon?
Yo, I forgot about that.
A water type would be so
I never
useful
thought about
here
that.
because it can
Yeah.
cover fire and ground types, and on top of that,
Yeah,
they've
bro,
already
why?
shown a willingness to use starters on the major fights. It's actually extra weird because not only is Turtwig on the second gym team, but Infernape is in the league, so not including Empoleon feels exclusionary. Look, I'm trying to be charitable here, and I'm
fuck the
aware that
Penguin.
the 4th and 5th gym faced very specific game design challenges for balancing. But there is no excuse here. Only Pokemon with valid reasons to not be here are Lucario, since it's Mayleen's ace, and Bronzong, I guess, because it's on Lucian's team. Scizor's right here, never used in the game. Empoleon almost feels necessary, and I don't like Probopass, but you could have still included him on one fight. Byron's team shows
He
a
probably
lack
could
of
have.
coherence and makes me wonder if all the previous wins of Platinum were just accidental. Badge 7. The epic high.
I hate this part of the game.
And just when you thought the game's difficulty was on the floor, we enter what is probably the most disappointing part yet.
You gotta walk through the snow,
of an explosion at
and then you
we then
gotta
had to
fight.
Valor and take on our
What,
first fight against
Maylene?
Commander
Is that her
Saturn.
name?
Reminiscent of Cyrus, this fight is
Forget
once
her name.
again disappointing when compared to the precedent
That's
set
not
by the
Maylene,
first
that's
2
fucking the
commanders.
third gym.
It's giving
Siley?
Team Aquaman,
No.
which is just classic evil team.
Her
now
name is
of
somewhere in my
Golbat,
brain.
Evolution reserved for another trainer
And also
fight,
the lake
and
shit.
extremely mid ace.
I don't
we then
care.
head to like Verity to take on Mars, then what do you know? It's another Golbat, non-evolved reserved evolution, and the same ace I defeated 5 badges and 30 levels ago. This section is ultimately so frustrating because
It's
there's
mid.
just so much other cool stuff. Like, I love the design and naming of the commanders. I love the 3 lakes of Sinnoh. I love this event. I also love that after this, I go to some random hole in the ground, pick up a Dawnstone, and evolve my brand new and 6th team member, Snorunt. That's right, ladies
You got
and gentlemen,
the
the
runt,
moment you've all
baby!
been waiting for. Our 6th and final Pokemon is yet another Gen 4 icon, Frostlass. What's something that
You
Gen
got
4
the
did right?
girl,
I'll tell you,
the girl.
it's fast ice types.
Or boy, you
Whether
never
this
know.
is your first or 50th platinum run, once you hit the mid game,
I hate
every
this
player
part.
feels
Okay.
the exact same way.
Nah. As a lover of this game, I do not like the snow section. I don't like snow in real life either. So like, it's actually very in character. I don't like snow in any shape, way, or form in games, in real life, in movies, in fucking anything. I don't like snow. I have to deal with it. Fuck snow, man, and ice and all of that. That's why I chose fire. I burn it and melt it. Get rid of it. It just goes so slow and it's infuriating. Sorry. I got mad. I just remember the trauma of walking through that route and it taking like 10 fucking minutes or more to get through that route. Even if you dodge the trainers and it's annoying. It's annoying.
You're staring down a long hallway filled with various trainers, and at the very end of that hallway, through all those people, there is one Pokemon staring you down. However far away it still is, you've made enough progress to establish a line of sight with Cynthia's Garchomp. And there is nothing that is going to break that line of sight until you finally face it and defeat it. And it is this fact that elevates fast ice types beyond anything we have seen before. And so after a long journey through the brutal Sinnoh winter, we make it to Candace, the 7th gym leader,
Candace!
with our
Okay.
finally completed team. Victoria the Empoleon,
I remember you.
Boreas the Staraptor, Legolas the Leafeon,
Remember your fucking puzzle,
Mjolnir the
I like that either.
Magnezone, Muad'Dib the
Fucking
Gabite,
nice.
and finally, Araume the Frostlass. And can I just
Look at his
say,
team,
thank
not a bad team.
God for Candace. Candace, my nut. It feels so
Yeah,
good.
I thought about it.
Actually makes me consider.
I thought about making the joke.
I know this wasn't the case in Diamond and Pearl, and Candace had an awful team there. But in Platinum, Frostlass is such a threat that it puts the pressure on regardless of what team you bring. And that is the hallmark of a great fight. My only critique here is, again, just the lack of evolved Pokemon. Like, the first Cyrus fight doesn't have a Weavile.
That's like a common early Pokemon game, right? It happens all the time.
Doesn't have a Weavile either. So surely Candace could have had a Weavile. And I don't know, maybe they were just wanting to save Weavile for Cyrus, which, like, fair enough. But then why wouldn't you evolve Piloswine into Mamoswine? Mamoswine is one of the coolest Pokemon ever, and it's never featured in the mainline part of its introduction.
Pokemon just loves to give gym leaders and, like, trainers non-evolved Pokemon for some reason. I feel like they really should be evolved, especially at the 7th and 8th, 6th, like the last half of the game, they should be evolved because at that point, you're evolved. So just give them all evolved Pokemon because you have them. And they're supposed to be challenging. So, like, I know this game's for kids, but, like, come on, they'll figure it out. I did. I mean, it was easy because, you know, they did this, but, like, they'll figure it out. Like, honestly, it's not that hard.
Game. So I respect Candace. I think it's a good fight, but the team comp is still a little questionable. Now up next, we finally infiltrate the Team Galactic building in Veilstone and fight Cyrus, who, still has a Sneasel. It's like, sure, he has a Honchkrow, but I just don't get why they're doubling down on him having bad fights and a bad team. And then right after this, you fight Saturn again, who also sucks, and it's like the exact same fight over again. It's kind of narratively cool, and I like that. I like the story of this game. The 3 Lake Guardians, but I don't know about these fights, man. Now from here, we head to the top of Mount Coronet, which is the iconic Spear Pillar. And this draws us into the climactic storyline event of Pokemon Platinum. Over the course of the game, I haven't really been discussing their story very much. And honestly, that's kind of because I didn't understand Cyrus's goals. Every time I saw him, his dialogue was super vague and weird. And I just started thinking, like, this is a poorly written character. Until I realized that that's like the intention behind him. The way that I've grown to interpret it is that he's just a raving lunatic. And when I finally realized that, I was like, oh, great. I love that. Like, it's simple, it's fine, it's everything I need in a Pokemon.
He's fucking crazy.
And at the very least, it's definitely a more compelling story from Archer in Heart Gold Soul Silver, whose only tangible action was to create radio waves that evolved Pokemon early and then run a over-leveled non-evolved Houndour in final fight.
What was the point of that?
Soul Silver is a story for another day, so subscribe if you do want to eventually catch that video. Now, before we get to Cyrus, we're greeted with actually what is a very cool double battle. Commander Mars and Jupiter are back for one last fight, and it's actually really fun. Now,
this fight's a good fight. I like this fight a lot.
You're basically 12v6ing them, so it's not like high stakes, but their Pokemon are really good, and in a doubles format, I found myself extremely focused. So although
you were locked in for that fight, I gotta be honest. It was a good fight. I remember that fight a lot back in the day.
Kind of put a nice bow on them as a whole. But it is after this that we finally get our supremely spicy storyline moments. I don't know how to explain this very well, so bear with me. So Cyrus activates or does something or other, and Dialga and Palkia come out, and he's like, I'm gonna control everything. But then the Lake Guardians are all like,
got the boys, the pit of the land, saving the world.
Works because Cyrus only pulls Cyrus didn't expect is there's this secret third dude named Giratina, and they're kind of like Pokemon Satan, walking around and doing all these crazy puzzles, and Giratina's flying around and being kind of like me, and eventually we do all this things, wall walking. It's really cool. Anyway, we're about to confront Cyrus for Giratina, and he's like, yo, it's time to battle, except now I don't suck. Okay, it's been a long time since a vanilla Pokemon game has challenged me, so let me just walk you through this one. I'm doing all my fights with no items and in forced set mode. I go in blind, and leading Staraptor luckily get the advantage on his Houndoom. Except close combat isn't enough to one-shot, I get a burn and he full restores. Another close combat obviously does even less, and his flamethrower drops me in one shot. We then
this fight's actually hard.
A quick claw to Aqua Jet.
Cyrus is a joke for the majority of the game, and then we get here. And it's like, hey, I was just fucking playing the entire time. Now it's game time. Now we're playing for keeps. You know, this is my goal. We're at the end game now. We're gonna fight this out. I'm gonna kick your ass. And I had to retry this fight more times than I can count. And the funny part is, there's an even better version called Renegade Platinum. You can go try that game out if you guys want. That makes the fight harder because it gives some legendary Pokemon, and that is also insane.
And take it out. Gyarados then comes out next. I'm feeling smart, so I swap out to Magnezone to make the most critical error of my whole playthrough.
By the way, I don't know how
I've been
much
joking on Team Galactic for
this
like
game
the
is
last
video
2
longer,
badges straight. So the absolute horror I have to see Gyarados throw down an Earthquake is nearly indescribable.
Yeah.
Cyrus has gone from being the most laughable character into kind of a god. Now, I also only brought 5 team members because I needed an HM slave to get to the top of Mount Coronet in the first place. So after a misplay on Empoleon coming out, I sack Big Doof and swap in Frostlass, which is a 4-shot to kill, leaving us with a sliver of health. We are now tied 3-3. Seeing the kill, Honchkrow comes out next, but I outspeed with Ice Beam, which unexpectedly is sadly not enough to kill. Fortunately, Frostlass goes down. Just kidding.
Honchkrow kind of thick though.
10% freeze to clutch.
Yo, man got lucky.
I go to set up Hail, but wouldn't you know, Honchkrow gets a turn 1 Unthaw in the middle of a snowstorm. Frostlass goes down.
Get
3-2 for
fucked.
Cyrus,
Yo,
and
man got,
Leafeon
oh
is
man,
weak to
rough,
everything
buddy.
left on his team. I send Victoria back out for
That's
the Aqua
Pokemon
Gem
for
kill,
you.
evening things back out 2-2. Weavile Crobat versus Empoleon Leafeon. Victoria stays in, and after a brutal mauling, manages to take a Weavile with just 20 health remaining. 20 health is all that remains between a brutal mauling to Leafeon and getting sent back down to the bottom of Mount Coronet.
Yeah,
All I can do
it
is sit here and
sucks.
pray for a quick
Unless you save.
claw blizzard. I don't hit it, but
Which when I was a kid, I didn't save, so I had to
if
come
Air
back up.
Slash is not enough to kill.
Enjoy the
through
climb
Empoleon's
back up,
typing. We go for the
bitch.
blizzard, but Crobat survives in the red. We're both now in kill range, but Victoria has the priority move Aqua Jet. So we have one path to victory. We click Aqua Jet, and Cyrus hits a full restore. That's game. Is it cool if we switch it up for a sec? I'm just thinking like a epic Pichao run and bun sort of monologue. I started making YouTube videos in 2007 at just the age of 11. And in 2014, when I was just 18, I reached my childhood goal of turning YouTube into a full-time career. That first successful channel was called the Smith Plays, where I made Call of Duty zombie videos. And there was something about that era of my career that just felt like absolute magic. I was really successful, but as a content creator, there's more to it than just views. At least for me. And for me, that magic was being successful, making content that was extremely meaningful to me, while also feeling like I was part of something bigger. Now, in 2020, I retired from
this video
officially and moved
I was like,
to
no.
Minecraft. And similar to my brief stint as a Fortnite creator, I was making a lot of people happy with my Minecraft videos, and I really do like
the nifty
game. But after a few years of that,
I watched that too.
Just got to the point where I always seemed to end up. I'd done everything I wanted to in the space and hit a point where I just felt like I was churning out content with no higher long-term goal. And so at the end of 2022, I started a Pokemon channel with the simple goal of creating content that was above all else meaningful. I ended up walking into making 3 Pokemon ROM hacks, and in the creation of that, I somehow stumbled back into that magic once again. Something I hadn't felt in years was back. And as the Legacy project finished, I knew I had to do everything I could to hold on to that magic. So at the start of 2025, I did what at this point I think I do best. I followed the passion and I moved on to start making videos full-time for this channel. I turned to the one game that I hold closer to my heart than zombies. The first game I ever played as a kid when I was 6 years old. Now, as I was going through this run, time was ticking on, the game was slowing down, and I gotta be honest that I was having some doubts about all this. Doubt started creeping in that maybe I had made the wrong decision. I can only describe it as this sense of dread that no matter what game I make videos about, it's only going to be a job now. And sitting here 11 years later at the age of 29, I can't help but wonder if that's just kind of the reality of growing up. I think there is some truth to the idea that the magic wanes as you get older,
it'll
but
always
I really do
fall.
think that we have agency to hold on to that spark. And this Cyrus fight was the first moment in reminding me of why I chose Pokemon. I just gotta...
It's just too good, bro! Okay, you know what, babe? Like the speech.
Come on. Come on, dude.
Not just because, like, you know, I'm rediscovering you as a Pokemon content creator, but hey.
I think we got it.
This is a good fight.
Holy shit. No. No.
Streamer reaction.
No.
Streamer reaction.
For the content. World. Yeah.
Oh, did you get the quick claw? Yo, it popped. Was that a quick claw? It had to be. Yo.
Dude, you could not.
When the cheese works with you, bro.
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god.
When the cheese
that was
works.
Like the best fight of my entire life. And just like that, my faith in Pokemon Platinum is restored. We encounter and capture Giratina and start the final leg of the journey towards fighting Pokemon.
Good video, Pat. Good video.
Trainer. Badge 8. A much
easy
needed
badge.
calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Experiencing the distortion world with Cynthia is narratively an incredible decision. And being accompanied by the region's strongest trainer, there is a realism to the event that most games are completely lacking. Sure, the player kind of just saved the world, but let's be honest. If we can beat Cyrus, so can Cynthia. But this act of Cynthia has her tacitly recognizing your potential. She's choosing to let you handle the situation, and in doing so, almost recognizing you as a trainer that someday might be her equal. Compare this to Lance and Johto, which has a very similar vibe, helping you clear the rockets. This moment
literal war crimes.
Flat, however,
oh my god.
Because Team Rocket is such a joke. Then you have the events of Pokemon Emerald, which are on the complete other end of the spectrum. Wallace, the champion of Hoenn, asks a 12-year-old child where the Sky Pillar is, and as you're climbing towards the dragon god of the sky and only hope for humanity, dips out halfway through the trip. This climax is...
Man's just like, yeah, okay, you got this, right? Yeah, we got the tower. I got champion things to do, you know? So you got this, right? You know, the world's gonna die, but you know, I got lunch in 10 minutes, so I gotta go. But hey, you got this, right, man, right? I know you're just 10 years old and I'm the champion, but listen, I'm sure you have it, right? And then Cynthia was like, hey, we're doing this together, pal. Me and you, saving the world. We're going to stop Cyrus. Together. Teamwork. That's the real champion right there. Wallace, fuck you, man.
Perfect balance between the two. It serves to elevate your relationship with the champion to a degree not seen since Pokemon Red and Blue. And so despite the 8th gym leader being a complete and utter joke, I can't help but think it was a decision for the best. I was almost able to solo Volkner with a Gabite, but it was a palate cleanse. Difficulty-wise, this fight is
it's so easy to have a
rock and
ground
hard
type.
place, and it almost felt right to just make it kind of easy, get a breath in before what's coming next. From here, we make it through Victory Road, evolve Gabite, finally into Garchomp,
to a good Pokemon.
As we're about to step into the league, we get our final fight
and
with
Barry.
And I think this fight does a really good job of stepping that pressure up once again. He's certainly no Blue, but compared to Silver and May's horrific final teams, it's just nice to see a rival that actually pressures you. As a character as a whole,
the Barry fight's fun. I thought it was easy, but it's fun.
Came from Barry, and I wouldn't say that he was my favorite rival, but I think he was a much needed balance to the seriousness that some of the game's darker themes posed. Part 9. The Elites of Sinnoh. Sinnoh's final challenge.
Here we go.
The
final act.
To date, and possibly ever.
The Elite
Gen 1's
4.
Elite 4 difficulty is all over the place. Gen 2 scales better, but its trainers are just not linear in difficulty. Gen 3 is an absolute mess. Gen 5 is exceptional, but the equal level caps kind of hurt the difficulty curve. Gen 6 has Diantha, while Gen 9 has Gita, and so that leaves you with just Gen 7 and 8 that really rival the consistency of Sinnoh. But the reason that Sinnoh rises above
Gen 7
sucks
is
that you are now barreling towards the end of the hallway. with Cynthia looming larger after every fight. We start with Aaron, who is an excellent placement for the bug type, which has always been an underperformer. I can imagine players of past generations going into this fight thinking, whoa, bugs just got good. Every Pokemon serves its place, and the decision to use Drapion, which is not even a bug type, is both so bold and clever that after everything we saw in the mid-game, I'm questioning whether
Drapion is
Game
actually
Freak
pretty
is
good,
just
though.
an absolute genius and everything was intentional. This is a great start to the Elite Four, being not too difficult, but raising the pressure very well.
I remember Vespiquen being so annoying. Like, I remember Vespiquen just being so... Because, like, Vespiquen, right? For some reason, it would just live my attacks, and then it would use heal order and just heal back up, or he uses a full restore as they do, one or the other, and it just didn't die for a while. Like, it wasn't a threat. It just wasted my time. I don't sorry, Aaron, I don't like you. Okay.
Bertha is the second E4 member, a ground specialist, and
all right.
her 4 times weaknesses are unfortunately to grass and the ever-common
my
water.
Gyarados, I think I had a Gyarados.
What's worse is that her ace is one of those Pokemon. It's awesome to see Rhyperior make an appearance, but
I know I had a water
type
on my team. I forget if it was Floatzel Gyarados.
Sandstorm's buff to raise special defensive rock types is definitely a saving force for her. Her Sandstream Hippowdon saves the fight from being too easy, but Bertha just isn't that standout to me. Ground always makes for an at least respectable Elite Four though, so I was satisfied here. 2 fights to Cynthia. Unfortunately, I gotta stop the compliments at Flint. Flint feels so similar to Volkner,
fucking
but he is just at the wrong place at the wrong time. In Diamond and Pearl, he only had 2 fire types, but he now gets a full team. This makes him more true to his typing, but full fire teams are really bad. Sure, it was with the Garchomp, but I was able to 5-turn this man by clicking A 5 times in a row. Realistically, what this guy needed was a Drop Ninetales, which just didn't exist at the time, because without Sun, which he wasn't able to get up, there's just nothing that he was able to do, and I expect more from an Elite Four member. 1 fight to Cynthia. Fortunately though, Platinum makes a hard shift in difficulty.
Lucian is actually tough.
Who I would actually like to propose is the hardest 4th Elite Four member in the series. By Gen 4, Psychic isn't even that overpowered anymore, and yet Lucian puts on a masterclass that makes even Gen 1 Sabrina blush. The type variation here is absolutely crazy. Your Psychic Mime reminds us all what a menace its screens are. Bronzong is a ridiculous wall, and when Espeon, a Pokemon with 130 special attack and 110 speed, is the least interesting thing on your team, you know you cooked. His Escalade is a
my fucking
Stone
boy,
Edge,
bro.
Psycho Cut, Leaf Blade, and Drain Punch. They did not hold back for this thing. But I gotta be honest, what was the most satisfying moment for me and the happiest that I felt through this whole league was seeing the Zamp come out. There were other options.
The Zamp! I love him.
But it
Big
felt
Zam.
so
Hey,
respectful
Big Zam.
to put Zam on this team. We
Big
haven't seen
Zam.
Alakazam on a team since Kanto, so this was a play that just left me very satisfied. But wait, what's that? Do you hear the soft sound of a classical piano? Of course you do. You've been hearing it for some time now. From the moment you started your game, you heard something, but it wasn't all that clear at the start. You could hear it from a place far, far down a hallway. And with every fight you passed, it grew the faintest bit louder. But now, with the Elite Four completed, you are ready to stare face to face with the threat that's been looming over you all game. The pinnacle of challenge, the highest rite of passage for any Pokemon fan, and the most notorious trainer in the entire Pokemon franchise.
Cynthia.
It's been a long time since a vanilla Pokemon game has really challenged me. These games were made for kids after all, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't craving the sweet, sweet challenge of a serious Pokemon fight. Pokemon Platinum and Generation 4 are not perfect. The fights of the early games, such as Rourke, Commander Mars, Jupiter, Gardenia, and Fantina, draw you in with the premise of the greatest challenge a Pokemon game could ever offer. And that promise is broken in the mid-game. The fights become easy, boring, and worst of all, repetitive. Maylene is a step down, Crash Awake is a further fall. The letdown of Cyrus's incredibly high expectations sting. Barry alone cannot—
Man, why do I fucking agree though? Man, I want to disagree with you. And also, we still have a lot of. Damn, we still got 15 minutes.
Face the burden. And as the mid-game wraps up, the player is faced with the most pathetic fight of all, Byron, a trainer susceptible to being 3-turned. But even at these low points, where I felt like my hope and passion for Pokemon was waning, there was always that sound of a distant piano at the end of a hallway encouraging me on. See, as I began climbing those stairs to my final challenge, I realized that what I've been describing as a looming threat is actually the thing that's been driving me this whole time. This was, in fact, the pressure that I needed for a fun playthrough. No matter how bored or how frustrated I was, you always know, frankly, has a lot of missteps. There was one trainer that was always there to keep me from getting too comfortable. And this forced me to care. For the first time in so long, this mere presence meant that I was meticulous with my team building. And in that, something happened that I truly have not experienced since I was a child. When I chose Piplup, I was telling the truth that I picked it for its cool typing. But I also think that Piplup might be the cutest starter Pokemon of all time. Well, Steel Water ended up being a little bit weird. I was never prepared for a weakness against ground, and I was always expecting a resistance to fire. But that's just my analytical Pokemon nerd brain talking. Honestly, I don't really care. Piplup is adorable. Prinplup isn't even that bad of a mid-stager, and Empoleon is one of the coolest final stage designs ever. Also, the fact that I got a female one, which made her the Empress, like, that's just so badass. Victoria gave me some of my most incredible Pokemon clutches ever, and I did not regret my decision for a second. And I didn't just keep Staraptor because it had a good stat profile and ability. I was so beyond that place of numbers and theory when I started this journey. Now, Boreas was one of my closest companions, the most reliable
Staraptor, my fucking boy,
always count on to deliver massive damage and clutch out wins. Then
he just fucking comes in, boys.
What had been a second stringer my entire game had finally grown into its iconic pseudo-legendary form. But Modib was so much more than just a pseudo-legendary. This was another Pokemon that had been with me since almost the start of the game. And watching this thing come into its own, I just felt like a proud parent. Now, Magneton
like a proud parent? Really? Okay.
I've ran it in Kanto, I've ran it in Johto, along with a handful of times through Hoenn, and Magneton is a Pokemon that I already love. You can't get Magnezone in Heart Gold Soul Silver, and I've never got to use it before. And getting to witness the absolute insanity that was Mjolnir, the Magnezone, was honestly just a thing of beauty. And then there's Frostlass. Arame was a late game addition, but
this is not the video I expected.
A last-minute soulless add-on. I would actually say it was the opposite, which is very rare for my Pokemon playthroughs. Arame felt like the piece that was always missing to complete this team of 6. It's such a unique and cool Pokemon that I had always kind of disregarded just because of my disdain for its cousin Glalie. But it's got incredible typing, a cool design, and it brought me so much comfort knowing that it would be there with me to weather the upcoming storm. But of everyone on this team, it was my relationship with Leafeon that was the most unexpected. I feel weird because unlike most people, I've never really identified myself with having a favorite evolution. And what I first looked at as a statistical power spike for the early game turned into what I can now say is easily my favorite evolution of all time. I always looked at its
Leafeon's still kind of
stylistic design as being inferior and less fun to the other evolutions, but something just completely flipped over this run. Its Wood Elf design is
I don't know what to
say.
It's all personal to him right now.
Design-wise, it's almost the most stand out of the group. It's
just a playthrough.
always
I did
had
not
a bit of
expect this to be just a
disdain
playthrough.
for ultimately shifted into the reason I like it the most. When you glance at its profile and typing, it's so easy to overlook. But after playing a game with it, Leafeon is now genuinely one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. And so the question
Leafeon's aight.
that I asked myself as I passed through the final door and
Here we are.
finally heard the
Stop
piano
stalling!
all its crispness was, what is it about Platinum that makes it
Okay.
so beloved by the community? And as an outsider, I think I can finally answer that question. For the first time ever, players are not subject to the whims of only selecting Pokemon that get the right moves or are available before the postgame. I mean, sure,
Yeah.
Platinum is still missing some Pokemon like Miss Magius and
A lot of fire
Honchkrow,
types.
but the number of good options you have in this game are so
A lot of fire types are
beyond
gone.
the level of anything we ever saw before this. Now, we need to acknowledge that this in part has a lot to do with Johto. Generation 2 introduced a ton of baby and
Okay, yeah,
single-stage
Sinnoh
Pokemon
did,
that weren't very
just work
good.
upon the
Sinnoh was then
past.
able to stand on the shoulders of Johto's contribution and give these Pokemon final stages. Sure, we
Yeah.
all know the Staraptor, Garchomp, Luxray, Roserade, and Infernape.
That was my team. Come on.
But unlike past games,
But I was
are
a follower. I did the
forced
thing everyone
into
else
that
did.
decision. Any starter in Platinum is great, and sure, Staraptor is crazy, but I had a very tough time letting go of the prospect of Togekiss. Nothing is a Garchomp, but there's a ton
Gliscor
of
is also
other
a good
great ground
contender.
types. As for electric types, I could have gone with Luxray, Jolteon, even Electivire, and yet the Pokemon I went with was just as good as any other. Ice type may have come late, but Froslass was competing to be picked between a Mamoswine, Weavile, and an Evolution. And
I
while
would've went
didn't
with
go
Weavile.
with a fire type,
I think I
the
did- I would've.
options are incredible here as well. You've got Infernape,
My man.
Magmortar, and Houndoom's first ever true
My
appearance.
man,
Pokemon
Infernape, right
Platinum
over
is a
there.
great game because for the first time in the series, the player has actual choice in their team building. There's no typical guiding hand that is forcing you into the same consistent team time after time because every Pokemon has potential. Well, almost every Pokemon. But there's still
Get him
one
out of the screen.
more
Get him off the
facet
screen.
that
Badoof,
ties
get
this
out of here.
all
RB Barrel, I guess.
Everything we've discussed
Fuck
today
B-Barrel, dude.
wouldn't matter if it wasn't for
But I appreciate your
the
service.
iron-like grip that one trainer
Stop stalling,
holds
Smith.
over the Sinnoh region. It is the impending threat that all players are forced to navigate, which makes the significance of your team members feel so much greater than any
Why do I hear
before
boss
it.
music?
You're not building up to a Nepo baby rock collector or a hyper beam
Nepo
loving
baby.
bird keeper. You are building a team to fight the most
Wait. I've never heard someone call Steven fucking Stone a Nepo baby rock collector. Nah. Man's Nah, bro. You can't be doing this to my mans, bro. Okay, let's continue. But goddamn it.
iconic, notorious, and arguably hardest trainer of all time. The sheer weight of that causes you to develop such a bond
Oh my God.
with your Pokemon that truly took me back to the feeling I had of playing Pokemon as a kid. And it's through her that I have to attribute a newfound passion for Pokemon. For no matter how I felt playing Pokemon Platinum for the first time, she has been there, ever present, staring me
She's
down
always there,
the long
lurking,
end of the hallway.
waiting.
To new players, the sound of a distant piano echoes the impermanence of all playthroughs. Its haunting notes reveals the
Low-key,
truth that
Cynthia's more
even
scary
the
in
most
black and white. I'll
prosperous
talk about that in a
must
sec.
decline. Cynthia is, however, the exception.
Yep. It's time. Here we fucking go.
Dude, holy shit.
It just
I
feels
have
like
chills
boss
right now.
music.
This is crazy. Just surf here. Perfect.
I still love
Probably
her
the
theme,
strongest
bro.
move.
It's,
If this is all Victoria does for this fight,
I still love
I'm happy. Shadow Ball,
her team.
that's
It's just
fine.
in her theme.
And we bait out
Everything
a
about
Force Storm.
Cynthia is
I think Force
just
Storm will be
goaty.
enough. There's nothing else Victoria can do unless she gets like a quick claw ice beam on Garchomp. There it is, man, in all its beauty. Okay, two trains of thought. I know this is an earthquake, chat. So in my opinion, it would make way more sense to fly.
I feel like Dragon Claw's
get
coming
the
in here.
Intimidate on it, like a free Intimidate for no damage. It
Does
could
he
be
play
a
his whole
quick
battle?
break. Shit. I think you guys are right though. I think you're right. I think
he might play his whole battle
even
here.
A -1 break, right? We can take that.
This is not what I
Please,
expected from this
earthquake.
video.
Please show me the earthquake.
I thought it was gonna be like a hit piece, like a. I mean,
let's go.
he did, but like, I don't know.
I think a Garchomp will outspeed me, right?
I expected more
it outspeeds.
hatred.
I think it's 150. I'm leaning hard swap to Victoria. I'm thinking that Victoria can't do anything else. I think I gotta go.
I think he just plays his final battle.
Oh, Dragon Rush. Wow.
I don't know if I want to
That's the
watch
thing,
this. Chat.
if I get the quick claw activation,
I mean, it's cool, right?
I'm big up. But I could just grab another Intimidate
but,
booster after. I think I want to.
No, we gotta. I'm watching this. I'll finish it up. You know, we do what we gotta do. But I wanted more of your opinion. You know what I'm saying? I did not know what I was getting into when I just saw the title. And I was like, oh, I want to. This is gonna be good to react to, and it kind of was. Kind of was. You know, the Nebo Baby Rock Collector was perfect. So that alone is worth the content.
Dude,
the hour and a half.
Like, our entire team, I feel like, has been built for this moment. We've just been thinking, how do we kill Garchomp? Chat?
Yeah, everyone's preparing for Garchomp.
There it is. There it is.
And this it lives. Oh no, it's dead.
There it is. Okay.
And now it's over.
Lucario. Just like, what could this move be right now? Like, it's probably a steel move or like Darker Ghost. Okay, let's do it. Ice Punch? Please don't. Please don't.
Imagine.
Stone Edge. That's fine.
And it landed, dude. That would have killed his Frostlass.
You're so dead.
That would have absolutely destroyed the Frostlass.
Back to basics, baby.
It's just type chart, isn't it?
Oh, there's the Ice Beam user.
Milotic pain in my fucking ass.
There's the Ice Beam user. Okay. I think it's,
honestly, in my opinion, Milotic is worse than Garchomp here. It's just too thick, and it's always like in the way. But I'm also a fire guy, so
we've been expecting very
makes
big
sense. The water be tough for me.
I think when you got a Magnezone with a Magnet and Thunderbolt, you just gotta go with the big damage move. And
the big bolt, baby. Hit him with the big bolt.
Yeah, Mirko. Yeah.
Hit him with that big bolt.
Yeah.
I think he might be dead. Yeah, you're fucking gone, Junior.
Leafeon.
Broken like Thor's hammer.
Let's go.
Leafeon. Hitting them with that leaf.
Dude, Leafeon
it's
might
time
now
for you
be
to
my
leave
favorite
the battlefield.
Probably just Victoria. Steel type.
Air Slash that's doing nothing. Unless.
Well, that did more than I thought. I'm assuming we get outsped. I've asked too much of Victoria to ask for another quick claw. She's done her.
Pop the claw! Come on, do it. Oh damn! I would have gambled. Actually, didn't work out. So never mind.
Oh, Shockwave. Okay.
Loki, Togekiss is built diff.
Victoria, it has been an honor serving with you. Here we go.
And even like later on, it just gets better too.
Yeah.
Like with the fairy type.
Dude. Also, like, such a Frostlass fan.
Man, they got the specs though.
Ooh. Ooh.
It lived.
Okay.
What's gonna happen? Yo, the crit is insane. The crit is insane, but that's a Cynthia fight for you boys. That's a Cynthia fight.
That was the cheeky crit for sure, Mac. Ooh, that's gross. Why would you do that, Cynthia? This is her last full restore. I'm assuming she only has 2. Half. Ooh,
you're kind of in a tough spot here, bud.
This is Silk Scarf.
Kind of in a tough spot.
So this is 120. Like maybe like maybe like slightly less than 102. So this is 120 before stab. They're doing the same. It might do a tiny bit more, but like based on my like 5 damage different. Ooh, though it has shockwave. So pivot Garchomp and then just take it out.
Kick his ass.
Weird play. I think it's a Dragon Claw, yeah?
See, you're lucky you're not in Gen 6 right now,
obviously.
Bud. Otherwise, you'd be getting fucked.
Now this should kill,
See,
right?
otherwise that won't fucking work.
It might not. Yeah.
You're lucky you in the olden times. Because nowadays, God, oh, that's not.
Okay.
That's not happening. I mean, he still died, though. That would have happened.
Return?
Man's using the strats. And now you just kill with Staraptor, right? Because it's Roserade.
As long as this is a Roserade.
Yeah,
okay,
it's just Roserade.
Thank God. Roserade.
You got him.
Hi. I never picked you for my team because you're overused. And so instead, I chose the other overused early Pokemon. And that is Staraptor.
Which is better. I like Staraptor's the GOAT.
It has been an honor serving with you.
The fellow bird! Fellow bird! Unite!
Well, ladies and gentlemen.
And there it is.
That is Pokemon Platinum.
And that just ended very quickly. Okay. Honestly, this was not what I expected. There was a bit of what I expected here. But it was mainly just a playthrough. I don't know what I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was more of an opinion piece on Pokemon Platinum. It was kind of both. He did both. In one video, which was interesting. I am glad he liked the game overall. Like, I was expecting a more critical look at what the title is Pokemon Platinum Worse Than You Remember, but because you know, the title seems a bit, I don't know, negative. But he ended up loving the game, and besides a couple like valid points about the game being kind of slow in the midsection and underwhelming with the under-evolved Pokemon, which is valid. But my opinion on Pokemon Platinum is that the highs are definitely worth the lows in every possible sense of the word. Like again, you have low points, but then the high points are so unbelievably high. I just think that it balances out. But of course, I have a lot of nostalgia talking for me. So I like this game. I like Pokemon Platinum. It's a favorite Pokemon game of all time, and that hasn't changed even from watching this video right now. So I'll just say this. I'm glad he likes the game. This video was not what I expected it to be. But hey, go check it out if you want to see it without interruptions. But I think I did pretty good for not interrupting him all that much. But hey, thanks for watching. Please, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe. And I might react to other things other than Pokemon. I might react to more Nintendo stuff, or even just like random videos on the internet. So if you want to have a video you want me to react to and give my thoughts on, leave them in the comments if you wish. Or even like games you want me to try. That's kind of fun. But again, if you enjoyed it and you're still here, which I doubt most of you get here, but if you are, leave a like, subscribe, because you probably enjoyed the reaction of some sort. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye, guys!